Lenice, welcome to Konversations. I'm so glad that you tuned in this Black Friday. It's always Black Friday for me, but I'm glad you tuned in. I hope you guys had an amazing Thanksgiving. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
It was great.
Okay, wonderful. So for those of you that you've never tuned into Konversations with Kendell Lenice, again, I am Kendell, and the purpose for this show is to really inspire, encourage, and uplift people through my guest stories, through my stories and testimonies and triumphs. So it's really about positivity, motivation, and I'm also a life coach and a motivational speaker. So that's really my walk. That's my passion. This is what I do, even if I wasn't doing the show. Before the show, I was still doing the same thing. So I'm thankful to have a platform. Let's see, what's this week? What's going on? Well, I can say I just left the movie theater. I guess my movie was over about an hour ago, a little over an hour ago. I went to see Creed. It was excellent. It was excellent. Rocky growing up, that was like one of my favorite franchise movies. So to see that, I was tearing up in the movie and everything. It was really, really good.
Wow.
Like Rocky, I'm saying Rocky, Sylvester Stallone was good. Michael B. Jordan. I mean, it was really a good movie.
Wow.
It really, really was a good movie. So for those of you that haven't seen Creed, did you see Creed, Lisa?
I did not.
Have you seen it? And do you plan to see it?
By myself.
Yes. It's so good. I mean, you almost thought that you were in a fight. Like everybody was cheering and you felt like you were in the audience. It was a lot of different special tender moments, good moments. So if you haven't seen Creed, go out and support that movie. But they're saying that it's buzz for Academy Award for Sylvester Stallone.
Wow.
And at 69, like he's still doing it. And I was trying to tell my daughters, because we went to go see it, I was trying to think, when did it come out? But the first one was 1976.
Yes.
So think about that. And it's 2015 and he's still doing it. And I was giving my daughters a little history. I don't know if you guys remember, but when that movie came out, it was a lot of talk like, oh, he can't act. He's a hood boy from South Philly. He wrote this movie. It's not going to make any, he was just not an actor at that time. I know he was into boxing, but he wasn't an actor. And that thing went to sell millions and millions of tickets, broke records.
Well.
Yeah, and it was a box office smash enough to have Rocky 5, like all the way 5, components of that one movie. Everybody's like, Adrian.
Yes.
But and just running, I just remember because I'm from South Jersey, so I'm always in Philly.
Okay.
And just remembering when I first saw that and he was running through the streets, like he was running all over Philadelphia. And my daughters, a couple years ago, we were on the steps and doing this. So I really love that movie. So I was really happy to see that. Yeah, it really was. And that just brings it all together, like with my show and the stories. Like I love to see like autobiographies, biographies, just that whole underdog type thing. Like I'm so for that. Like I'm a cheerleader for that. So to see somebody here and they say you couldn't do it, and then to see somebody here, right? So that all ties into, what I'm about anyway. So I loved it. And then my kids think Michael B. Jordan is so fine. He's a fine young man. But I'm in my 40s like, dang, he really worked out. Like his body is really like, tight. Should I be looking, all three of us? But
probably the only reason I would go because I was like, Michael B. Jordan.
My daughters were like, right, exactly. That's what I was like, but you can tell he really worked out. My daughters the whole time, one's on one side, one's on the other. And then it's a scene where Michael B. Jordan's taking out her twist, her braids, and my daughter's like, yes. My daughter's like, yes, he had the little rat tail comb. My daughter's like, yes. So she, she loved that part. She was like, she's 22. She's like, I need someone like that. Just like, help take out your braids or your twists. So it was really a good movie. I didn't expect to talk about it this long, but go see the movie. But my guest is just sitting over here so patiently. I appreciate it.
Girl,
Star Wars. Yes. Oh, well, that's coming out soon.
Coming up December
I remember
18th.
that.
I can't wait.
Black people went crazy when Billy D. Williams.
Yes, they did.
Hit the scene. But okay, you might feel like you know her already. You've been looking at her for a minute, but my guest is Kim Harden of Majestic Day
Correct.
LLC,
Yes.
an event planning company, and I'm going to let her talk to you about that. But she's an event planner and CEO of Majestic Day, and she's been in the business for more than 20 years.
It's 20
she's
plus.
had that.
We're coming up on 25 in a couple of years.
Wow,
So
that's
I'm
amazing.
excited.
And it's her own. So we're going to
Yes.
get into that. So all you as aspiring entrepreneurs, people that want to start their own business, please tune in because she's been doing it successfully for 23 years. So that's saying something. So welcome to Conversations.
Thank you so much for having
and
me.
thank you for being here. We've been trying to
Connect
for a while. So we were here talking about LinkedIn and just trying to connect emails and all of that good stuff. So I'm glad you're finally
I'm
here.
so glad to be here.
Thank
you so
you.
much for the invitation.
Thank you for
Thank you.
coming. So let's I guess start with the basics. Where are
Okay.
you from?
So I'm born and raised here in Baltimore. My family, mother and father, grandparents are from North Carolina. My brother, also all of us were born and raised here.
Okay.
Educated here in Baltimore City Public Schools.
Okay. Shout
And
out
then we
to
went to-
Baltimore City Public
Woo.
Schools.
And I'm also from Baltimore City College.
So see, shout out. and I love to see this image here, this business owner, because I think Baltimore City school system and people from Baltimore and you get a bad rap.
We do.
You know, and I'm always sticking up for Baltimore. I'm not originally from here, but I'm always sticking up for Baltimore. People that are educated, people in Baltimore, people with their own businesses, rich of culture,
Doing the right
and
thing.
so on and so on, and doing the right thing. And every person from Baltimore does not experience the same thing that they did on The Wire.
No, they
like
don't.
people from all over the
Absolutely
place,
not.
they always, oh, you're from Baltimore,
They
and
make
then
that
automatically,
association.
right? They don't make it with business owners and successful people.
Correct. You're
and
right.
especially with Baltimore City schools too. So
You're right.
That's good. Very good.
You're right.
So
I am, I've been here all my life. I have a 5-year-old and trying to groom him in the business as well. Hopefully he will become an entrepreneur. That's my hope. But I've been here for a while. And in the business, it's I've had my ups and downs. So I do have a story to share, but I'm excited to be here.
okay, and I'm excited for you to be here. And you just mentioned, and we talked about this a little earlier, but your son, 5
Yes.
years old, you're teaching him how to be an entrepreneur. I think that's amazing. My daughters have been working with me for many, many years, and I do the same thing. Why do you think that having that entrepreneurial spirit is good? And why do you think starting at 5, which I think is amazing?
Well, one, I think he has a lot of the characteristics for an entrepreneur early on. He's very strong-willed, very persistent. He works well independently. He also likes to be amongst the crowd as well. And I think those are important things, but the persistence piece is important. The other piece is that specifically with him, he's a do or die. He wants to be very helpful and useful. And I think sometimes that innate piece, you have to really have it inside of you. There are a lot of people that try to imitate and think that, oh, I can jump on the bandwagon because she's doing it, I can do it. But I really think you have to be born with it.
I agree.
And when you are true to yourself, you're able to do that. The other piece is from an economic standpoint, I really believe that we need to have our own. Not just within our African American community, but in our communities at large. I think it's very important for us to own and run multiple streams of income through businesses and other ways as well. But I think that's important, and that's one thing that I want to teach my son. When you're not doing well in one area, you have something to fall back on.
Right, and I think that that's very wise of you, and I totally agree. I think in our community, and just like you said, in communities as a whole, I think it's important to teach that because this is a different generation. This is a different time.
It is.
Like you don't stay at a job for 60 something years,
No.
get your retirement, go home, your Social Security, and just sit there on the couch.
Nothing is secure.
Right. It's not. It really isn't. And I know as far as Social Security, the older you get, I know with me, I probably won't even get it, Right. So I think it's very important to have multiple streams of income. Everybody, to me, I know with entrepreneurship, your passion can be turned into a business.
It can.
But you got to really educate yourself. You got to know if you can do it. Like you just said, some people just jump on board because it's the new fad or something to do, or because of reality shows. They may see event planners like, oh, I can do that.
They make it look very
Dave
easy.
Tutera and all of that,
They make it very hard
because they're not showing the strenuous work.
Yeah, it's a lot.
They're showing the finished product. So,
and you don't see the background
right.
staff people that are doing a lot of, some of the things that when you're a one-man show in some cases, or when you have staff, it's still work.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they see people behind the scenes doing other aspects of that. TV makes everything
right,
look
because
easy.
Just like they like cooking shows, they just show the finished product.
Exactly.
They don't show, like
it's
you said,
process.
the grunt work in the process.
You got to add heat to it. You got to add water. You got to add different things to make that. And sometimes if you don't have those pieces, you've got to put it on hold and come back and get it.
Right.
So it's not as simple as TV.
And I'm sure it's a lot of cussing and fussing and, throwing stuff around, trying to get
tears.
Crying, right. Because to pull something off.
Right.
And it's stressful to do. That's why a lot of people hire event planners.
But one thing, with me, I started in corporate America. I started working at 16. Then I moved into a law firm while I was going to college. So while I was going to college, my first year, I played around a lot. And then when I found out I needed to pay for my own tuition, I started doing very, very well.
Right.
And I worked part-time at a law firm. So I worked there I wound up working there about 16 years. I started as a file clerk and moved up to marketing assistant.
Progression.
And I actually started doing events there in the firm, which was really unheard of.
Wow.
And I found that I really loved what I was doing. And so I started doing, other people that were around me in my I don't want to say sphere of influence, but that were in my community said, well, let me get Kim to do my wedding, or let me do this. So I started doing it for coworkers and family members. And then I realized, hey, I really like doing this. And then after maybe the 7th event, I said, you know what, I need to start getting paid for this. But it didn't come, what I learned was, I could differentiate between the 9-to-5 job and my passion, which was the event. I started with weddings. And so what happened, I noticed that when I go to work, it was the same mundane 9-to-5, doing the same thing every day, in and out. When I started doing weddings or events, it's like, okay, this is going to stop. So this comes to a close and I can start something else. So I like the fact of kind of starting with the ideas and the concepts and bringing it to reality. And then I can close the book. Yeah. On the corporate side, I couldn't really do that. So that piece was really, really, I've noticed that pretty quickly about myself and really loved doing it. And then I noticed that everywhere I went, I started gravitating. Anything that I saw an event, I was like, oh, it's like a magnet. I would just connect with it. Bookstores, anything that I was looking for something that says events or weddings, and I would connect with it at that point. And then I just started connecting with other people in the process. And what I found was that being a sole entrepreneur, and mind you, it's not, most of the time when I'm doing larger events, I have other people to back me up just on a project basis. But when you're the sole person, you're the janitor, you're the office clerk, you're the secretary, the receptionist, you're the manager, and you're actually doing the art itself. So you're pulling yourself in so many different directions. And so it was important to be around people who were successful in their own right that could support me.
And I think that's
within
important.
Those areas.
And I think that's important enough. I think that's important to know, because we were talking earlier, we think we can do it all.
You can't.
But you have to pull other people and their strengths to try to make your unit a little more solid.
Exactly.
My mom loves to, she has a gift for it that you wouldn't believe. She's done a lot of events and she's done it. And I do it sometimes, but I don't, some people just like it. There's a difference between really liking it.
I call it a hobby.
Right. And then in the job, then to do it. And that's where your bread and butter comes from. And to be doing it this long. So we talked about your son and you're trying to teach him that. Did you have that entrepreneurial spirit when you were young?
I did.
Did someone groom that?
I think it was more a group of people and a lot of, I think what I did was I kind of took a piece from this relative, from that relative. And with my parents, they really undergirded and supported it 100%.
Oh, wow. That's always amazing.
When I would say, I want to do this, they were right there, to help. And they still do. just in a different capacity.
Yeah.
But at that point, I realized that was, and it didn't dawn on me until years later when you're dealing with other people and they say that I want to be your partner, or I want to be your this or that. And they kind of try to get to Z instead of starting at A, thinking because you've already gotten through those processes. Right. And so once they get to that point, I'm like, are you really born to do this? Right. And if you're not, you need to start at the beginning. You got to go back. Right. And so do your homework. That's how I knew I'm born with this, and this is what my purpose is.
Because some people can just do it and without thinking, they don't even have to go to A. They just know. And some people, it's like, okay, because you see someone
it's a different thought process.
Right. You don't, it doesn't mean because you see that they did this and you see the finished product, like I could do that.
It doesn't come natural.
Right. Oh, I know. I've seen some events where
I've seen things like,
it definitely doesn't come right.
And they make it harder for us.
Yeah.
One thing early on, now I'm dating myself, but when I started Majestic Day, the internet was just coming out. Okay. So it was just AOL at that time. Yeah. So now it's like there's so much information. Yeah. There's so much for brides and computer savvy tech people to tap into. Yeah. We have to be on our P's and Q's. I mean, we have to know it. Yeah. But a lot of people are just popping up a shingle, getting business cards made, but they're not going through the process, and it shows, and it makes it harder. When I say that this is what we charge to do it, they don't really think you're worth your grain of salt until they find someone else that isn't. And at that point, it's too late.
And I think that's in all fields. And it's just where now with, like you said, with the internet, people think that they can do everything. They're not hiring professionals. Yeah, right. They're not hiring professionals. And a lot of times it's looking like it. Right. But a lot of people think that you can do everything yourself. But even if you may have the instructions and you may see the guide to do it, but like you said, if you don't have it, you
can't make it. You can't give what you don't have.
No, you don't. And people try. People do. People definitely try. When did you, other than the law firm, like when was the first time that you said, oh, I'm on to something, like I really got this. I'm good.
It came later. Like I said, after the 7th time, I went through, and like I said, 7 means completion. So it's like, okay, this is it for the freebies. Right. Now I'm going to do the new beginning, and I'm going to start getting a contract together. And that's when it seemed, and it's, for me, it's like it happens in cycles. So when I made the decision to leave the full-time job and start my business full-time, it took me a while. I made the decision, but it took me a while. And even during that process, it was, there were offers that were given to me, and I was like, wow, that's almost
offers
an offer
to take on to project. To stay there. Okay.
Even though I made the decision to move forward, but for me, once I made the decision that I'm going to do this, the fear left. But prior to all of that time, I was just, I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could do it. And there were opportunities that would have been perfect. Yeah. But when I made the decision I'm going to do this January 1, 2004.
See, and that's exactly what a goal is. And, me doing coaching and what a goal is, but a lot of people just think the goal is I'm going to start my own business.
But it's preparation.
And you have to put a date on that. You have to give yourself some type of completion date or achieve by date. And like you said, with fear is paralyzing, and it's especially if you allow it to paralyze you. And most people are scared or fearful because they don't know what to expect. No, they don't know what's coming. And like you said, because I always say the first step is the hardest step.
It is,
because you don't know what to expect. We always talk about faith, but it's different when you practice it or when you attempt to kind of live by that.
Faith without works is dead. And so even with making the decision, that's when the fear left, but I still had to make preparation. Yeah. So from a financial standpoint, I thought I was prepared.
What did you do to prepare? Well, I'm saying this, asking because there's someone out there like, well, I don't know how.
I had money in savings. For some people, they say six months, whatever your expenses are, save 6 months of that. I would say even do more than that now because things are just so unpredictable, and it depends on what your business is. But even when I made the decision to leave. January 1, I had.
Of what year was that?
2004.
Wow.
I had zero clientele base.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you before the end of January, my year was pretty much booked.
Wow. So wait a minute. So in January, when you decided to go into business booked for yourself, you had nothing booked. No one really knew.
Nothing booked.
So, and then by the end of January, you were booked.
I was
booked. How did you get all of that business?
This is
other than God, because we already know.
Right. And
you took the step.
I took the step, and it was as if you do this, and I'm going to do that. There were certain things, and I say this to some of my relatives. God is not going to come down and write an application for you. You have to do that. You got to do your part and let him do his. But I can't control what other people.
That help themselves.
I said, I couldn't control other people giving me a call. Some people didn't even know I had left to go full time. Most of them didn't. They just called.
But that's God. That's all God. Like, because you took that step, you put your faith in saying, I'm going to start.
It happen.
I'm working in a law firm. I'm probably getting, a regular paycheck, 401k, benefits. Because benefits is the tough thing. When people go out to venture out on their own to start their business, that's where people get the most fearful. Mm-hmm. And now, it's different now. Think about with Obamacare, but there was no Obamacare. Wasn't. So, and COBRA is like,
it's
$1 million a
premium.
Month. It might as well be $1 million a month,
Right.
So
for a little bit of coverage.
Right, exactly. And that's that extension to what you had when you stopped working. But that's the thing that really scares people. I think the benefits and not getting that regular paycheck.
I didn't get sick. I never went hungry. My mortgage was paid on time, and I had just recently purchased a home. Maybe 6 years prior to that. So I'd been in it for a while, but I did not, and mind you, there were challenges.
Oh yeah.
And even, I went back to corporate America. I think I stayed there for 15 months and I had my son at that point. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, I can't do this. Mm-hmm. And that's how I knew. For me, working a 9 to 5, it didn't work for me anymore. Yeah. Some people can go right back and they're fine. But for me, it didn't. And I said, okay, now I have a son. This changes the whole dynamics for me, for all of this. Again, I made the decision. I'm pulling out. Took some time off. First of the year. Again, people calling me, didn't even know I had gone back to work.
Wow. See that thing, and when you said that 9 to 5, and that's the same with me. I work for a nonprofit now, and my goal is to really, help people and all of that. Mm-hmm. But I say that now, I cannot see myself working at corporate America anymore. And I did it for many years. Mm-hmm. I'll go to speak and do some motivational speaking and go speak to the groups and the team bonding and all of that stuff. But to work there. So when you have that calling on your life and you really have that passion and that drive to do something else, nothing else is going to work.
No,
but what you want to do.
It won't. And I believe that God honors what you're doing, mm-hmm. but it's for a season. Yeah. And when that time is up, that time is, it. And things start falling apart.
I agree.
The 9 to 5 doesn't even work.
Right.
After a while.
I agree. I agree.
It may be easy, but sometimes that easy road is, and my father would always say, if it's not worth having, you got to work hard for it. Yeah. It's just not going to come out of the sky.
Yeah. But it looks easy to other people because they see, like we said, the finished product.
Right.
So when you think about your baby, Majestic Day, mm-hmm. I know you're the CEO of Majestic Day. What roles do you play in your business? You said you have people helping you sometimes, but mm-hmm. for the most part,
for larger projects. So typically what we do when we approach a client, mm-hmm. And it's specifically if it's a large event. So if we're doing a gala or if we're doing a conference, mm-hmm. we're looking for specific team members to make and build for that specific contract. So we work with subcontractors. They're not employees, mm-hmm. but we work with that group to kind of pull it from the concept all the way down to the day of. Okay. So I'll have a registration staff. I'll have another staff that's doing decor. If that's part of it, we'll have a team of vendors that we work specifically with that have done corporate. And so mind you, even with when we approach weddings, I don't have just one caterer that I use because mm-hmm. not everybody can connect with that caterer. Right. well, not everyone's budget will connect
Right,
with that.
right.
So we make sure that we understand what they're working with in terms of their finances, but we also make sure that we understand personality wise who they're going to connect
And I think
with.
that's important that you said that, because some
Mm-hmm.
people, that's because you've been in the business for a long time,
Right.
but it takes a while, wouldn't you say, to kind of get
develop.
those right connections.
It does.
So you can kind of,
And
because some people, when they first start, they're working with one
Right.
caterer, and if they can't,
No.
they're not thinking
Right.
about how that person is going to get along. But I think that's important.
And even some clients, they will have their own vendors,
Mhm.
and some, might be a friend or family
Mhm.
member. And even if that's the case, if I don't have a contract, I'll write one up for you, because I don't like working without that, because it gives my client, to me, a big disadvantage,
Mhm.
because, the hearsay and, oh, I said I was going to do that. I have to have
Right.
everything in writing. So I will, as a courtesy, create, just a template for them to have something to sign, even if it's for a family member or a relative.
And I
because
think that's
it's
important. So you're a businesswoman,
Mhm.
and that, I think that is important, because people do
Right.
change their minds, or they forget what date or what time, or
I've seen
forget
it
what they
happen.
said, forget what the
Right.
price that they
Exactly.
quoted.
Exactly.
People get amnesia
Not
with
show
stuff
up.
like that. Not
I've
show
seen
up.
that.
See, and that's a lot. And see, in business, you learn that. You
Right.
learn who to work with. You learn to
Exactly.
have that backup. But some people, they're calling on cousin so-and-so, and they're thinking
And
that he's your
I'll tell
cousin, so he
them,
may show up.
if I don't connect with them, if I don't connect with a specific vendor, I don't even recommend them, because I have to deal with them on
Right.
the front and the back end. And I'll let them know, okay, this is the issue with this person. Are you sure?
And this is not going to work.
And I'm going to back out, because it's when people's, especially for weddings, that's the most expensive day of your life.
Yeah.
And I think TV and what we see other people do,
Mhm.
it really kind of
Mhm.
distorts the whole purpose for the wedding in the first place.
Mhm.
But I think people just get really sidetracked, and
Yeah.
they just, oh, I want that. And they have no idea what things cost.
Yeah.
And then when it comes down to it, it's like they have these grand ideas. And then when you have to try to hone them in, and
They're
then
pulling change
life
out of
happens.
a sock,
Right.
dumping all
It's
that
not
change.
there.
Like, what can you
Right.
do? And I think with reality TV, I will agree. And the TV and all the,
It's
you
not
guys know all the,
reality.
right. All the wedding shows and all the planning shows, and it's for TV. It's made for TV. So
Right.
it's going to look like
It's
it
gonna
comes
work.
together. Even if you not pulling up your bank account,
Right.
it's going to work for you, because it's on TV.
Exactly.
It's supposed to work. But I'm sure people will come to you and want a certain type of grand event, and they're looking at you like.
And I have to just say, your budget is not going to
Right.
allow you to do that. This is what your budget is going to allow you to do.
Have
Peanut butter and
a
jelly,
picnic outside,
cheese and crackers, and some water. Not even juice.
the little bottles of water.
Correct. No,
But
we're going to pour it in a big cup of ice.
But I'm sure, I mean, I can only imagine, I'm sure, because people have those beer pockets and that champagne taste all the time.
They do.
Because it is pretty, it is elegant, it is classy. You don't want a thrown together event, but
Right.
you get what you pay for too.
And it makes it hard for us, because we don't want to show something shoddy, because
Yeah.
then it gets turned like,
reflects on
you
yours.
did that.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I
Right.
didn't. No, I had nothing to do
So
with
do
that.
you ever turn down
have.
clients?
I have.
What are some of the reasons?
I've turned
turn down work.
Well,
I
let me
should
say this, and specifically with weddings, if
Mhm.
we don't make a connection with the bride and the groom when we meet with them, because a lot of times the grooms are meeting with us as
Mhm.
well, I will turn it down, because I can't work with someone that's going to stress me out
Yeah. Hello.
for a year or more.
Hello.
So I don't even put that in my space. But if there are some situations where I'll say to them, your budget won't allow, or
Mhm.
it's going to be really, really tight.
Mhm.
But if I feel the connection between the bride and the groom, I will do what I can to make it happen.
Oh, I love that.
But making sure that things aren't compromised. For instance, if you're going to do a wedding and you're going to do it right,
Mhm.
you don't want to say or do things that are inappropriate, and then it just messes everything up. So we
Mhm.
just make sure that from an etiquette vantage point, that they understand what's appropriate and what's
Mhm.
not, what's considered risque, what's acceptable, and make sure that it's just nicely done, but that it's not killing them. But I don't do that for everybody.
So I love that, because some people, if you don't get
Right.
that vibe or that
Right.
that energy is off,
Right.
you kind of like, mm-mm.
Right. Right.
But I love that you take the time to sit and talk to them and get to know
We
your
do.
client first to decide, or your potential client.
We have to
decide, because some people just take any work, but all work isn't good work,
No,
and
it's
all money is not really
I think
good
that
money.
some brides, their perception sometimes is it's kind of skewed because they think I'm paying you X number of dollars and so you're exclusive to me.
Right.
They think that sometimes, a lot of times they think, well, or they think they're paying us too much, and that I'm going to add on more to what
to try to get their money's worth.
Exactly.
Because they're thinking that you're not,
Exactly.
because they're saying, again, that even the brides are saying the final product too. They're not knowing how many times
It's
you
a
heard
process.
no, or you can't
Right.
do this, or
Right.
you had to make exceptions in a venue or anything like that.
Exactly.
So typically, I know you said with the weddings, you typically start a year out.
Sometimes a year to 18 months.
Okay.
I've started in many cases between 24, with very few. There are a lot that start, playing out that quickly. Even with corporate events, because we started out with this, I consider the weddings, birthday parties, anniversaries social.
Okay.
Then we have a corporate division as well, which is really what is really the meat and potatoes, bread and butter for Majestic Day, because it's monthly. It's on a consistent
so explain.
basis.
I know what you're talking about, but explain to some people, like, what is a corporate event? What does that include?
A corporate event would be a gala.
Okay.
It could be an open house for an office opening or grand opening, workshops, seminars. Corporate events could also be conferences or anything that's a meeting, but it's specifically, during business hours for a specific purpose, an educational meeting or what have you.
And that's your meat and potatoes of your business.
That's the meat
because
and potatoes.
It's more consistent.
It's actually transitioned from, we do weddings. We'll do maybe a handful a year, but we're real selective about who we do weddings for. And that became, again, as a result, having a baby changes everything. Because when I had my son, I realized that with most weddings, the bride works.
Right.
I'm at my office 9 to 5.
Right.
But many times they want to meet in the evening or the weekends.
Oh yeah, and you have a child.
And so for me, doing the corporate, because it's pretty much no shades of gray, black and white. It's during the week. It's easier, and it's something that's on a more consistent basis than the weddings. So we transitioned into doing a lot more on the corporate side and using the weddings more as dessert.
Okay.
So,
I like that.
Because I still like the creativity part of that. And of course, that's where we started.
Yeah.
But there's not as much creativity on the corporate side.
Yeah. Because it's structure.
Weddings.
We need pins. We need this amount of
Exactly.
tables. We need a projector. It's simple.
Really like black and white.
Yeah. Because I think about some of the corporate events I've been to. Yeah, just the logistics.
Correct.
Have to be, it's more
and just thinking it through. Now you can get a little more creative with the galas, with the centerpieces and this, the table designs and all of that, but not as detailed as with a wedding.
So how many corporations do you work with, like, throughout the year, like consistently? I think
last year we did maybe 20.
Oh, wow. And that's a consistent, alternating the different weeks and
different
the months and all that different time.
This year I had 3, 4 in 1 week.
Oh, wow.
I had 2 conferences back to back, and I had a wedding and a wedding rehearsal that weekend. And this was my son's birthday. The day after his birthday, I had a wedding, and there was a lot going on.
Wow.
Father's Day, all of that. It was just like really, and after that I checked out.
Right. I'm sure you
and
did.
Checked into a hotel and took my son with me. But yeah.
Like we were talking before, she was gracious enough to do the show. She was planning before she came, and she's getting ready to leave to do it. She's planning something for the Thanksgiving weekend, almost like a family reunion or something.
Right.
So how do you hear, how do people hear about you? Like, is it word of mouth?
90% of it's been through word of mouth.
See, and I think that's the best way to get anybody, any work done, anyone that you want to hire for any reason, because if somebody is referring them to you, that means they're good. Because people will say, "Don't even
the
try
negative
it." Don't
goes
even
out better than the
exactly.
It goes out faster than the positive. Really,
for sure. So for somebody to refer you, that's big, and for you to
it's
get
cost effective.
Yeah,
and it works.
Right
now, but I still have to do my due diligence
Yeah.
because I still have to have a face front in terms of a website.
And your website is awesome, by the way.
Thank
I
you.
was all on it. Did you?
Yes.
Love it.
I did it myself.
I know. I love it. You did an excellent job.
I had a designer working on it, and it just wasn't coming together with me. So I was like, you know what? I've got to get a presence. And so I just went ahead and did it. But you have to you have to do your due diligence in terms of making sure that people know who you are and where you are. And even when I first started the business, I learned the yellow pages was big.
And
so,
penny saver and all that stuff.
I am so dating myself.
That's all right.
But it worked. It was very effective.
I've run my fingers through the yellow pages plenty of times.
And what happened was, in the beginning, you would see wedding plan, we were called bridal coordinators or wedding coordinators then. Yeah. And so you would see maybe one big ad and 5 people listed. Now it's so many different people, but you would find that a lot of people, when you go down the list, they're not answering their phones. It's a cell phone or it's going straight to voicemail. So my advantage is I'm here. I can talk to you. I can answer questions. I can speak to you. You can ask me questions. We can set up a time to meet, all of that, rather than you leaving a voicemail message and not connecting with me. So we have a presence in the social media, of course. We also have a connection through Groupon and social, I can't remember the other
Living
one.
Social.
Living Social.
Yeah, love those.
So we're just trying to be, now this industry, you've got to be just as techie as everybody. We've got to stay up with everything.
You
so
really
it takes a little more time, but there are other resources out there. So I'm an advocate for Hootsuite. So work it all out.
But you are because LinkedIn, Facebook,
Twitter, Pinterest,
right? And I think that that's so smart of you. Even you started before any of that, but to be up on that, to know that okay, there's a change.
That's what everybody's doing. You got to move with you got to get with the program. But a lot of
people that have been in business for a long time, they're not moving, and I know they're losing business because they're not used to doing it that way,
right?
And to touch on what you said about the calls, it's plenty of businesses, plenty of small businesses or privately owned businesses that I've tried to connect with, and it's a voicemail.
Right.
And I will call you back. And I don't leave a voicemail because if I can't talk to someone, or I can't, you wanted
information now.
Exactly. Right. Not 2 to 4 days.
And people, when they call me on my office line, they think it's a cell phone number. So they say, I sent you a text. I'm like, I never got it.
Right.
So, but when I have to say, this is my landline. So they say, oh, she's in a legitimate business. Yeah. I had a bride and groom. They just had their anniversary maybe a month ago, a little less than a month ago, their first year. And when I met with him, they had been with another planner and they had some challenges. And, a lot of times if they don't work, go on to another one. Everybody's not for everybody. Right. So I understand that. True. But there's enough business for everybody. And when he came to the office, he said, you won me when you had the office. And I was like, okay, well, I guess this works. So,
and you have the office, like she said, she's been in business in Catonsville, Maryland for 23 years. So that is big because a lot of people now are virtual. Right. It's virtual offices. I'll meet you at Starbucks or Panera.
You have to be able to touch and
I
feel.
Agree.
And
I love
as
that.
a planner, you have to be able to do that.
And I think that's important.
You got to have that connection, not just virtually, but it's different. It's just different with that because you're dealing with someone's life savings in a sense to create this day that everybody has to leave remembering. And it's like, if it's anything bad that goes on, it's just a lot of pressure on you. Yeah. But that's a pivotal point where you really have to be in their face. And it's not just let's talk over the phone or we can do a conference call. You have to meet that person.
I think that is I think especially that first visit, that initial visit, critical. We're trying to find out what we're doing because there's a lot said about that connection.
Right.
Like you said.
That first impression is lasting.
Oh, yeah.
And if they don't connect with you, or if I don't, in many cases, if I don't make the connection, I'm like, we're not going to get that one.
Or if you're looking at a couple like, I don't want to plan that because I don't want to waste my time. Right. 6 months later.
You're pulling my leg big time.
Right. So would you say, would you say that event planning is your passion? Would you say that your business is your baby?
It definitely is a passion.
Yeah.
It's a passion. Now, whether, I mean, I don't know what I would be doing next. I can see it transitioning into other services or products, because we're trying to diversify. And so we're reaching out 2016 for us. And I'm saying us because it's not just Kim, but 2016 for us, I'm looking at double, you know, and for me, it's not just, I want 4 more clients. I want to be able to tap into an industry and it all the way around. I just want to, you know, just saturate.
Yeah, I love that. So
it's important that I take some time off to really focus and create a strategic plan. I have a good friend that goes to my church, and she, I met with her last Friday, and she gave me a lot of good insight in terms of what to do and how to do it and what worked best for her.
To expand.
Yes. And so the other thing is just making sure that, you know, as an entrepreneur, you're constantly by yourself. You know, she said to me, start getting out once a month or once a week and interacting with other, not necessarily event planners, but other entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Connect with other successful people.
Events and different things like that.
Get, you know, meet with your accountant, find out what's new, what's coming up, you know, what do I need to be aware of? And so
That's good advice.
A lot of, you know, I don't have retainers all over the place, but I do have people that I can call for specific, you know, issues that I may have or encounter, and making sure that it's not costing me and breaking the bank, you know, at the same time, but just being really wise about what you're doing, because you want to keep more than you're spending out.
Right. And I think that that's always wise. I'm an advocate for networking and just really trying to talk to other people to find out how you can build your brand. What are the, like you said, the latest and the greatest techniques? What do I have to do to stay above, not so much the rest, but just above in my game?
Right. You have to be cutting edge.
You do, because especially you have to stand out when there are a lot of people. No one can do what you do like you do it.
Right.
But there are a lot of people. Everybody doesn't know how good you are. You know what I mean? When they see a group of people, and you have
as
to
hard as they may try, you know, they just can't do it the same way or have the same result.
Right.
And I think a lot of times, you know, you may have a lot of event planners across the board. And while I really feel that there's enough business for everybody, and I don't turn people away, and I'm not insecure in that, you know, I don't want them coming to this and I don't want them coming to that. No, you know, if you want to come and talk to me, I'll give you what I have.
I love it.
Because it's not mine. Yeah. You know, I had to get it too.
Yeah.
So, but just make sure you do right by.
Right. And no, and I agree. And I think that's so good. And that's how I am. And that's how I love people, even when I go to people to find out or to get some information on how do you do this, or how. I don't like, to me, when you hold information that is so selfish. Like, how can you? And people do it all the time.
Right.
People don't
but
want
it's
you
not
to
yours.
get right, but people think it's theirs, and it's only enough room for them.
Right.
And they don't want to see someone supersede them.
Right.
So what they do is kind of hold the information. Well, what happened? Oh, I don't know. I can't remember. So if
you're the best event planner, and I'm coming to you and I'm saying, you know, I'm starting out, and if I exceed or get bigger, I need to be able to come back and say, you know what? I got some business for you. I have an opportunity for you. I
love that.
So that's my whole thing, because I can't do it all.
Right.
I wasn't built to do it all. I was built to do my portion and you do yours. Right. But do it well.
Right. And people have to know their limitations, and enough to kind of, like you said, there's enough to go around. If you can't do it, you can give it to someone else. Exactly. But you got to know that they're going to know what to do with it when you give it.
Don't hate me, because then I'm not going to call you.
Exactly. And then you would hope to think that they would pay it
do the same thing
with someone. But some people do hold everything that they have. Right. They're afraid to kind of release the work. But that's why you're getting so much work.
Baltimore's but so big.
Yeah.
You know,
and
it's a big
come
city,
back.
But it's a small city.
Oh,
it's
for
a small
sure.
town. You know. So you just got to do right.
So what advice would you give the viewers or anyone if someone comes to you and say, hey, I want to start my own event planning company, or I want to start any type of company. I want to be an entrepreneur.
I would recommend not just getting, you know, of course, getting books, but I would certainly go to an entrepreneurial seminar and really find out from someone who's done it and who you deem as successful. You need to shadow under someone and get really a lot of wisdom on it, because it's not made for the faint at heart.
Right.
Neither is marriage.
right. Neither
but
one.
it's not made for the faint at heart.
Right.
And you have to really know and be true to yourself. So while you may sense that this is what I want to do, and you may have all those qualities,
Mm-hmm.
it may not be the right time. So that's why it's important to be around people who have been through it and done it and done it well, or have even failed. And for whatever reason, they may say, you know, whatever mistakes I made, you shouldn't have to go through.
Right.
And so I think it's important to get around successful people that are doing the same.
I definitely agree with that. And I like what you said. You said the people that they deem
right
as successful, because success is different for everyone. Everyone views success differently.
Right.
It's not about the monetary award. It's not about the how many clients you have. I mean, it's just whatever
Right.
is deemed successful to you and who's successful.
And you know, again, in my situation, I do have I have an accountant that I can come to and just say, but you really have to do a lot of mapping things out and be very strategic about it. And I started with a business plan. I went through Women Entrepreneurs of Baltimore, which again, I'm dating myself. That was in 1994. And I wrote my business plan, and I still have it, and I still, you know, tweak it, rewrite it, or whatever. But I just, for me, it's not just Majestic Day. Majestic Day is going to be one aspect, but I'm actually growing and starting other businesses that are still in the event arena, but it has a different service or purpose.
What type of, can you share any of?
So Majestic
your
Day
new
is going to be the social aspect, because it sounds so wedding-y to me. And then there's also the corporate side, which is going to be for virtual assistants or association management, association managers, or just for corporate event planning. That's going to be K. Harden Associates.
Oh, I love that.
So I'm trying to differentiate the two, but we'll also be seeking after government contracts.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
So it's not just, you know, depending on, you know, this or that. Even on the wedding side, I mean, we have a lot of items or products and other things that if we're not doing one thing, we can do decor. We also have invitations, linens, you know, we rent things out. So if a bride comes to us, we try to be as much one-stop shop as possible.
And I think that's so savvy as far as a businesswoman, to have all of that, to know that just planning a wedding, and I don't want to say just like it's simple, but planning a wedding is just not going to cut it. Your hands are in, but it's all in the same. It's coming family.
back to the company.
Yeah,
so
I love that.
The other thing I would say is, even though I was the only person for a long time, just be really careful in terms of who you want to partner with, whether it's vendors or even other people to connect with. But I also, even while I was doing it independent of that, I did have a synergy group. We were called the Mastermind Group. And so we would meet once a quarter. And I had different people that were very influential in my life, that were either in the banking industry, they were police officers, they were different people that could connect with me. And so when we would come together, they can tell me, well, this is what I need, and this is, and I'll tell them what I'm looking for. And before the meeting is over, you know, each person's need is met. So they're not just coming to support my company. That's the primary focus. But when they leave, if they have something that they're looking for, they can get the information while they're there. I love
that. And you mentioned earlier, and I wanted to double back on that, business plans. People always ask me, how can I start my own business, or what should I do? And a lot of people, it's just like you were saying earlier, want to go to Z. And I still think there's nothing old fashioned about a business plan. Outlining your ideas, trying to put it on paper. A lot of people want to start businesses and they just go straight and just open up a business and start.
And they wind up shutting it down.
Right. Exactly. They don't do their homework. They don't have a clear plan. Now, it's not that you have to know your end result. You have to have a clear plan as far as what you're going to do 5 years from now, or you didn't think 23 years from now you would be doing what you're doing. So the business plan is not to kind of foresee what you're going to do in the future, but you have to have some type of plan. You have to know strategically what you're going to do, and how are you going to be different from the rest? How are you going to last? How are you going to be successful? You have to do a business plan, have an outline, write down your ideas. Like Kim said, talk to people that are in the business, or different businesses, or businesses that kind of surround what you do. And I say, truly, now with the internet and books, and just truly educate yourself on whatever you're trying to do. Do your homework. You have to really know what you're doing. You can't open up a business and you know nothing about the business that you're entering. People do that all the time.
They
just
do.
to be an investor. A lot of people say, but you still want to do your homework because you want to make sure, even if you're an investor, that you invest your money properly and you know what you're doing. Even, you know, because a lot of people, people all the time, oh, I'm an investor in this business, but do you know anything about the business?
No.
Do you know why you invested your money in this? Not just because a friend of a friend of a friend said invest, you know?
One thing I did early on, and it was an opportunity that became available to me. And when that opportunity became available to me, I expanded even on that. And it was for a period of time. I actually taught at the community colleges.
Okay.
And from that, there were people that wanted to shadow with me, or I'll say with Majestic Day. And so they were able to work for, you know, a couple months just to get experience, because one of the challenges is, okay, I'll get the information, I'll get educated in that particular area, but how do I deal with my first client? And so, and how do I tell them that you're my first whatever? And so I have to say to them, well, you know, if you come with me, then you can say that I've had experience in it. You know, this is relatively new to me. I said, but really what they need to know is that you have the skill set and that you have the ability to do whatever those tasks that are necessary in order to make a successful event. So that challenge kind of, it kind of smooths it out a little bit because they can approach it a little bit differently in terms of knowing how to address people.
And I think that's smart, because I know a lot of the community colleges have event planning courses. Is that what you partnered?
I did.
With?
So
did you taught some of those classes?
Yes.
I've taught BCCC or CCBC?
I did Howard Community College, Hartford Community College, and Baltimore Community. Baltimore County.
So and I think because I noticed a lot of community colleges have that.
They do.
As the
some of the adult education.
Yeah, the adult education classes.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, some of those I even go to myself. Not the event planning, but some of the accounting classes, some you know, Microsoft Excel.
I've done it too.
Because you wind up doing my background was I have a strong administrative background. So I can not only that's why I can do the event planning side so well, because I can do a Microsoft, you know, anything. I was fluent in that because I'd had to do it when I worked at the office. So a lot of that stuff I still do now. So it just builds. When you don't have that, it just makes the process a lot longer, you know, and it can be a little grueling and overwhelming when you're trying to do both. And I think people, when they think of event planners, they think you're at the event, you're directing me and telling me what to do here, but it's a whole lot more administrative on the back.
Because they saw J-Lo in wedding planner, and they're thinking you got a walkie-talkie.
Right. It's just not that simple.
Right. They don't see everything that goes into that. So when you started Majestic Day 23 years ago, did you think that you were going to make it to the 23rd year?
That was my plan.
That's major.
I mean, my plan was I didn't know how, but my plan was that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life.
Wow.
That was my plan.
And you're doing it.
And I still love to do it. Mind you, I do get the drama clients, but you know, you just get through it. You just know how to deal with it.
So what are some of the, if you can think of, like, because I know in 23 years you've done, I mean, I don't even know how many events, but what are some of the most memorable events that you've planned? That's just
trying to think of one in particular. I did in Northern Virginia. It was the day after Christmas, which is actually, that was my wedding anniversary as well. But this particular one, the bride asked me to bless the meal, which was totally, you know, different. But her wedding was, she had people coming from all over. It was at the Ritz-Carlton, and it was so nicely done. It was easy. It was so easy to do.
I'm sure at the Ritz.
And it was small and intimate, but it was very easy to do, and they were just so appreciative. And we actually still are connected.
Oh wow!
Very, I mean, normally, and that again, when we connect, we connect.
Is that was that one of your first events?
No, it wasn't one of my first, but it was early on. Early on when I went full time, like in 2004.
Because you connected as people, and that's what you look for.
And I mean, our kids play together.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So it took it from a greater, relationship level, I believe.
Okay. So when you think about that potential client that's coming to you, and what is, and like we said, there's a lot of event planners out there, not saying that they're all created equally, but there are a lot of event planners out there. A lot of people think that they can do it themselves. A lot of people, you said, they think the prices are high because and
I'm not the highest by a long shot.
And they think that that's easy. So when they Google you or go on LinkedIn or see your website or see the show, what is something that they can get from Majestic Day that they may not get at such and such?
So when they meet with us, they get a really clear understanding about what to expect that day from if we're working on it.
Okay.
And so what we try not to do is throw a whole lot of ideas and kind of overwhelm the process. We do a questionnaire. So we have them go down the list of questions, and it's maybe 10 questions, but it's pretty simple and again, as low stress as possible. But what we try to make sure that they understand is that weddings are stressful and can be overwhelming. And so what we break things and we explain what our process is in terms of segmenting things into certain categories, and we go through it on a monthly basis. So we meet once a month on it for 1 hour, and that's it. And so when we do that, but we do an assessment process. So it's a meet and greet the first time. The second time, if they decide they want to move forward with us, we start with the contract, and then we actually get down to the nitty gritty in terms of where every dollar is going to be spent. The problem sometimes turns out is that we don't always get the truth, and that makes it harder. Because
what do you mean from the client on what they want?
Well, what happens is we'll say, "What's your budget?" And they'll tell us it's X number of dollars, and we'll put that down, and then we'll designate. We're very, very try to be as clear as possible with them. Tell us, is anyone from your families going to pay for this specific area, or are they going to take care of this particular thing? Is someone going to sponsor a photographer or whatever, so that we can take those dollars and put it in another place.
Right.
And we give them their budget. We give them a checklist of everything that they could potentially need for their wedding. And then we start going after the vendors within those categories. So we're not going to show you something that we know you can't afford.
Okay, that's good.
And so when we go through the process, we try to make it as stressless as possible.
For the client.
Correct. And us too.
Okay.
But what we really stress is that they're very clear with us, and sometimes when they're not, it comes out later, and it comes out later to their detriment, because when we don't have all the information, it's very difficult for us to make adjustments. And we've been very, very, we've had situations, life happens, where a bride and a groom, they come to us and their budget may be $30,000, and we're going to buy a house. And I'm like, and then we had to take some of that money and use towards closing. So we're kind of funneling down the budget and trying to still make everything happen. And that gets to be challenging. And the more you have, the easier it is for everybody. But sometimes it just doesn't work that way. So when they leave us, they have a clear understanding of, this is where we're going. We're going to meet this time next month, and this is what's going to happen. And they just have a clear sense of what's supposed to happen each month.
Okay, because I'm looking at your website and people that have used Majestic Day, they've said some wonderful things about Majestic Day. So it sounds like I'm sure they're taking you through. At least you can do is write something good, right?
No, but for me, it's I don't look at it as, it is the most expensive day of your life, but it is also a very serious day. So there's certain things that I wouldn't condone, at certain, I think it's very serious to me.
Yeah.
But I think that it's important that they understand that people are going to talk about this for days on end.
Right. And because if you've been to I can think of some weddings that I'm still like, when you've gone to a good event,
they make an impression.
They make an impression. If it's a wedding, if it's any type of event, they make an impression. It could be a bad impression or an amazing impression.
Right.
I've been to some where I can think of the worst one, and I can tell you everything that was wrong, or some that are like just impeccable.
Yeah. Yes. So, and it's important because we have to, it's just important for us to make sure we do the right thing all the time. And that's not always easy.
I'm sure in any business. With what are some of the smallest budgets you work with, and what are some of the largest budgets?
We've worked with $5,000, which I think I consider small.
Small, yeah. For a wedding?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of times when you're dealing with $5,000 budget may not be It may not be too small if you have 50 guests, but when you're talking about a couple hundred guests, I mean, but again, you're talking about $5,000 in cash, but they may have other things that other people are donating or providing for that service. So
they're gifting
from a
that.
realistic, point, it's I've done as little as 5.
What was the largest? Because I'm sure it's fun.
I've had 60.
60,000?
Yeah, 60 was easy.
I'm
that
sure
was very easy.
When you're spending somebody's money and you're,
yeah. You do that.
But and that takes a lot of the stress away.
It does. They're my favorite.
Right. I'm
but,
sure.
But we don't charge, when we have those high end, we may have to it depends on how many guests there are, but we don't really charge. We charge based on what our tasks are.
Okay.
Because what our time is. Yeah. So it's a flat cost. It's not anything based on a percentage or anything like that, because I don't think that's fair.
No, I don't think that's fair either, because you have more, you're going to spend more, and we're going to do the same thing. But there has to be something inside of you when you're sitting down talking to that client and they say, this is what I got. This is what I have. And I'm like,
oh, wow. And they get what they want. But what helps
your
us
posture changes.
Yeah. So when we go to the hotels or different venues, they treat us like gold, because I'm bringing you this great piece of business.
Right.
But they put us up in the hotel and feed us good and all that. So
See,
I'm not mad at them.
Money does bring us some advantages, and it does talk.
It makes
and people
it easy.
Listen.
It makes it easy.
Right. And I'm sure that's with anything. Everybody knows when you have money, you're feeling better.
Yeah.
You're looking better.
You're right.
You're not, you don't have as many wrinkles or the bags because
you're grays.
Right, exactly. You're not staying up late thinking about it. And then when you don't, it's like
it makes it easy.
But you can't have a $5,000 budget and you want to have it at the Waldorf Astoria or Ritz-Carlton.
And strangely enough, there's some that
think, I'm sure.
How many guests? 200. What's your budget? 5,000? No, that's just for the wedding.
And do people get shocked when you
bring it down
their
to
money
them?
Is really not going to go that far?
What happens is they may step away from me, and then they'll go out and look for different vendors. First of all, the time that they spend looking for the vendors, they don't know where to look.
Right.
And then for the ones that they pick, and it's like they want $25 a person. That's cheap.
Right.
That's inexpensive.
Yeah.
But they don't have a concept for what those things cost. And that was the whole point for doing seminars and making people aware that this is not it's an expensive day.
And you want a quality event.
Right.
You don't want something that looks like it was thrown together with
and most of the time,
you know what I mean? You don't want that.
I had one that we turned down because we had a bride and she said, well, my mother wants to be involved. And I said, I'm not going to compete with your mother.
And that's what you would have been doing.
And it was a hot mess.
I'm sure. That's what you would have been doing.
I wasn't there because I would have been like, cringe.
Yeah, you would have.
I understood it was terrible.
And
that's horrible because people remember that.
And they're not going to allow you to do your job because they want what they want. They've envisioned this. And even though
it's crazy as it may be,
crazy,
it is.
It's not,
most of the time.
But they want some crazy stuff. And you're trying to keep it professional and classy.
I can't do it.
So speaking of reality shows that we spoke earlier, have you had any bridezillas? Because those.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking about the reality show. I don't know how they still have friends. I don't know how they have a wedding planner or a husband to marry.
I've had a bridezilla, but she wasn't a bridezilla to me.
To everyone else?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that was all right. It
wasn't okay because I was witnessing it. So I'm like, you're threatening
just
someone in my ear.
You
can't do that. You can get locked up for that. So it made it a little difficult.
And I think it's because it's a stressful day. People don't know how to react. Emotions are up and down.
But,
I think that's why people.
Even with the bride, I guess what they really need to do is rely on the professionals.
Right.
And sometimes if you're going to try to tell the professional what to do in their own art, that makes it difficult for them to even want to accommodate you because you're making it difficult for them.
Yeah.
And, in this case, she just wanted what she wanted. And I had to just say, I'm not that person.
Right.
Don't go there with me. And I think people think, oh, she's little.
Right.
No, don't do
But
that.
you have to bring them on home sometime just to make it clear and then proceed.
I've had challenges and they weren't necessarily things I could control, but it's not just the money, but it's tell me if you have an issue in your infrastructure in terms of your family. Will this particular person get along with that person? I always ask, parents may be separated or divorced. Are they okay with walking down the aisle with each other? I don't want them to know this before they have to go, and then they're fighting each other all the time.
And those are details that you need to know.
And I had a wedding where the mother did not come to the wedding. She did not
because
come.
she didn't like the family or the spouse.
She didn't like her son.
Potential. Oh, she didn't like her son. Not the son's wife.
Her son. She didn't want to walk down the aisle. She didn't want anything. She made an appearance, but she didn't stay. It was just really awkward. It was sad. Really.
I'm sure that was awkward and sad.
But they prepped me for it, so I was prepared. So everyone knew it, but it's just couldn't believe that it happened.
Yeah, I'm sure that happens probably more often than we would like to hope or think. So, okay. So, what would be that ideal event? If you can plan anything for anybody, any particular event or type of event, what would that be and for who?
I like galas, and we typically do a lot with nonprofit organizations. And so usually,
because I may be calling you for
okay. Normally we do, what we like to do. I like to do the on-site, going out and doing conducting the site visits and preparing the budget, because what we do, we try to save as much time for the client as possible. So we'll go do all the legwork and just present you with the information and you make the decision, and then we go together as a group and then make that final decision. But we find that the client just finds they can see the value in having us when we're able to save them the time.
Okay. Wonderful. So when you look at your life now or look back at those 23 years and beyond, are you where you wanted to be as far as business?
Well, I do have a vision board.
Okay,
so
love it.
I still have my Range Rover Sport there.
Okay.
I have my it has a little picture of a little boy with a Mickey Mouse hat on going to Disney World. So we are preparing to do those things and getting lined up for that. And I know it's a process, so I have to really work on the patience part. But
I do vision board workshops. I'm all in when it comes to vision boards. So
I've added a few images to that, but still got to get there.
Yeah,
I think that we've transitioned from having partners, no partners, having partners, no partners, and then it's like, okay, so it's just me and you, God.
Yeah,
which is plenty.
Yeah.
But just knowing what to do, with the capacity that I have.
Yeah. And I think that's, and knowing that and knowing when to get help, knowing when to say, okay, I
can handle this.
Exactly.
Or, no, I don't want to do this at all.
Exactly. So when you look at your life as a whole, what are you most proud of?
My son.
I knew you were going to say that. I don't think any mother is going to say anything different.
My son.
I would like to hope not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that money can't buy that.
No. And he's brought a lot of joy, and he still does. I think that seeing him grow up, and then he'll come up, and he said to me one day, he got up and he said, "It's just me and you, Mom."
Oh.
And then he'll always say to me, and maybe, "Mommy, I really love you." And I look at him like, "You sure? What are you getting ready to do?"
Right. But that's like, those are the things that are priceless.
Right,
like you can't, you just can't buy that type of.
And I think that he's beginning to understand the importance of working and the ethic piece. And he's like, "Mommy, you take care of me. You take really good care of me."
He's a smart 5-year-old.
So I'm just looking at him like, where do you get this stuff?
But kids are so smart. I think as adults, we don't give them enough credit, we wonder why. Because I look at my kids and I look at my nephew, and I'm like, he's a little thing and he's just wise beyond his years.
Right,
it's like, how do you know that? Why do you know that? How did you observe that? Right. But they see everything.
They do.
And they don't miss a beat.
They do.
He's going to be taking care of you soon.
That's what the hope is. But I think for me is the point, while he's in his formative years, is to just take the energy, because he has a lot of it.
I'm sure.
And make sure it's channeled in the proper way, and understanding that he's a part of this as well. And he's one of the reasons why I do what I do.
And you're leaving a legacy.
Right.
I think that's so important.
It's supposed to be better for them.
Yes, exactly. You want your children to do much better than you. You want them to know more than you know. You want them to grow at your rapid speeds, and you just want to teach them everything that you know.
Right.
And leave some type of legacy for them, even if he doesn't want to take over your business, but that
do
entrepreneurial
something. Yeah,
spirit,
it's there.
Yeah. And to say, okay, Mommy did this, because the bar is set high when you show your kids, not even saying, but when you show your kids a work ethic or or how to conduct yourself in business, or you know, how to move to the next level, not being afraid,
Right.
because fear paralyzes so many
It
people of
does.
living their full potential and living
Right.
their best lives.
It does.
So what part does faith, and we're winding down the show now, but what part does faith play in the decisions that you make in
For me,
life?
just exercising it, because I have to kind of position myself. Okay, I need to exercise my faith. I want to be here. And so what is it going to take for me to get to that point? Where do I get to the end of my rope and let God take the rest?
Right.
And so that for me, and it's in stages. I don't want to say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to jump off of that mountain. I'm going to, okay, just not anything off the wall, but to be very realistic, but to, you know, you have to aim high.
Yeah.
And that faith, you know, it's you've got to grow it.
Yeah.
It's not just you just can't say, okay, I'm going to blink and it's going to happen.
Right.
But there's got to be some action behind it.
Yeah, I agree. And you have to exercise that.
And you got to
faith
know when and when not to.
Right.
So,
But I think a lot of people, and me included, you exercise faith, and then you take it back, or you let it go.
It's not
and you
hype,
take it back.
and you have to know the difference.
Right, I agree. Can you explain what you mean by that?
For me,
I totally agree.
You can go into a setting and be motivated and inspired, and say, okay, this is what I want to do, and that's great when you make a decision to move forward and start a business or whatever that thing may be. But when you get to the point where it's time to produce, and if that season is not right, and if you haven't planted that seed, it's not going to grow.
Right.
So you just have to be really wise and put all that you can into it. Plant the seed, let it grow, but you still got to continue to do what you got to do.
Amen. I say it all the time, because people say, and you know, you get a lot of people of God, women and men of God, and they say, well, I'm gonna let God handle it. But God is not going to handle it while you're sitting home on the couch doing absolutely nothing.
No.
I believe in, when you want to start a business, when you want to do everything, you have to put the work in daily.
Right.
You have to do something that pertains to that goal or that dream or whatever that is. You have to work on that.
Right.
If you want to write a book, you got to write daily. If you want to start your business, you need to start behind the scenes. You need to
you have to do your due diligence,
right,
and research, and really
every day.
You got to be in the know.
Yes,
because
every
you're going to
day.
be coming out of the gate, and you can't be cutting edge overnight.
Right, you can't, and that's very good advice. And you can't achieve. People see people here, like we were talking about, but you can't assume that they just got there by luck.
And it's not
their
easy.
Season, it's their favor, that is their time, and they put in the work
through many dangerous toils.
Right. They put in many crying nights, many oodle and noodle nights, trying to make that dream come true. Okay, so the last question, I ask all my guests this. So when you think of your future, what does it look like? When you look at your future,
rest,
what does it look like to you?
Peace,
and knowing when to rest. Right,
exactly. Just a level of stability. Not that things are unstable.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are points in life where things are kind of, in disarray a little bit, but I see stability and peace and prosperity. And
I see that for you. I see big things. You're already doing it. There are a lot of people that venture out to start a business, and it lasts 5 to 7 years and they're done. Right. But to see you start your business, have a dream, have that, that little seed planted that this is something that you want to do full time, and to leave a job with security, with those benefits, with those consistent paychecks, to venture out on that on your own. I think that's wonderful, and that's an example for everyone. I know there are people out there, you want to start your own business, you're trying to figure out how to do that, but you can do it. You have to take that first step, and when you take that first step, God may carry you the rest. Not may, He will. If that's something, if that's your season, if that's something that's meant to happen, do it. I say this all the time. The first step in winning is showing up. Right. Like you can't even win if you don't show up, if you don't decide to make that choice to be there.
It's just like if you're trying to win something, you can't, they're not going to just say your name if you didn't put your name in the hat.
Exactly. You got to show up. That's the first step. If it doesn't happen for you, at least you showed up, and to show up again.
Right.
Okay, so and I love this conversation. I wish we can go on and on and on and on to have this conversation. We'll have to do that off camera,
Yes.
or maybe have you back.
Absolutely.
So tell the people how they can reach you if they want to hire Majestic Day LLC.
Majestic Day, we can find us on the World Wide Web at www.majesticday.com. My office number is 443-860-9765.
And it's a real office.
Phone on a desk.
At an office.
Right. We're based in Catonsville, but the best way is really to get me in either of those two places.
Now, would you do, since everybody is watching this from other parts of the world, the country, the state, do you go elsewhere to plan events, or are you local?
We're not. We go Maryland, Virginia, New York, Pennsylvania. So we're not just DMV based.
Okay.
I mean, if we get our plane fare covered, we'll go wherever.
Right. Put that in your budget.
Yes.
If you want Kim.
Yeah.
I mean, take a look at her website. It's amazing, the work that she's doing. And it's not all about, like she said, weddings. There are a lot of events and galas and different, she calls those social events and then corporate events, right?
Right.
So there are a lot of, if you're looking to plan your next event, definitely
Please
consider
give us a call.
Kim. Exactly. I mean, I'm sure you liked her here. I know I did. This is my first time meeting Kim. And for my events, I'm going to have to give her a call.
We would love to have you.
But thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting
and taking
us,
the
and
time
thank you
out,
for
because
the
I know you're
invitation.
busy.
Yes.
Thank you. I know we're talking at the same time. Thank you, and you're welcome. I'm just trying to wrap up like I start speed talking. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. So make your passion your work. What you put into anything is what you'll get out of it. You are no different than Kim or I. If you want to work in your gift or in your passion, you have to go for it with everything that you have. Don't waste your life doing things that don't bring you joy. I don't believe in that at all. Stay true to you and stay true to your happiness. If you're not happy at what you're doing, you need to find something else to do. Okay. So I hope you guys are hearing me, and I hope this show touched someone. This has been Kendell Lenice. Thank you for tuning in to Conversations. God bless. Peace.